Okay, y'all. So I'm going to stay up here, but feel free to settle into a comfortable seat, somewhere where your spine can be long. Maybe you want to sit on top of your shins or just sit in a regular cross-legged position. As long as you can feel like your chest is open and your spine is one long line from the top of your head to the base of your tailbone. You can let the eyes flutter closed and start to tune into your breath. No need to modify it or deepen it or slow it down. Just pay attention. Checking in with your body. How are your feet feeling? Your shins, your calves, knees. Moving up the legs, your thighs, your hips. Are you feeling generally restless or still? Open or sensing maybe a little bit of tension? Bringing that awareness now up into your hips, your pelvis, your lower back, the belly, into the rib cage, the upper back, the chest. Noticing the movement of your breath. The shoulders, your upper arms, elbows, lower arms, into your hands and your fingers. I've often found my hands are where I hold a lot of my tension or emotion. Like I happen to be gripping or making a fist when I'm frustrated and I don't even realize it. So pay attention even to those smallest parts of your body. Moving into the neck, base of the skull, up and around to the top of your head, your forehead, your face, your jaw. And we're going to start together by taking 3 deep breaths. And I want you to think about any place that you found some tension as you were traveling up the body. Every inhale, you're sending the breath straight to that spot, and the exhale is taking the tension out with it, letting go. So let out all of your air, and we'll inhale deep, exhaling out. Maybe you're sighing out the mouth. 2 more times, filling up on that inhale. Exhaling out long. And then last one, deep inhale. Exhale to let it go. You can start to move the body a bit, maybe give a shake to your upper body, your arms, your hands, wiggle the toes if they're free, shift the hips a little as you gently open the eyes. And wherever you are in the seat, we are going to be there for maybe 10 or so minutes. So feel free to readjust or pick a different position as we're going. Totally up to you. As long as the spine is long, you're good to go. So we'll start with some easy neck rolls. I just want to start kind of not filling the whole range of motion that your neck can have. Letting it grow as you continue to roll. This next one should be pretty big. And then you'll switch to the opposite direction. Starting off easy, light range of motion. And then growing, come into one final roll that's nice and big. From there, we'll just move into a gentle nod, yes. Looking all the way up to the ceiling. Down, folding your chin into your chest. Keeping this at your own pace. Now we'll move it into a no, turning the head from right to left. Focusing on controlling that. Making it intentional. And from here, we'll come back to center. Drop the right ear toward the right shoulder. And then if you feel this, great. If you want a little more, go ahead and walk your left fingertips out onto the mat so that you can feel the stretch come down along the top of the shoulder. If you'd like a little more from here, the right hand gently rests on the top of the head. And it's not like you're pulling down to deepen the stretch, it's just the weight of your hand. Again, sending the inhale to anywhere you're feeling that tug, that tension, letting it fill to create space, and then the exhale lets it go, takes the tension out with your air. Nice and slow. If you took those options with the arms, let them fall. We'll come back through center to dip to the other side. Up to you if you'd like to walk those fingertips out or rest the left hand on the top of your head. Breathing into the resistance that your body is creating. One more breath cycle here. And let the arms fall as we come back to center. We're going to continue crawling that right hand out, moving into a side body stretch. So the left arm reaches long above the ear. And you'll want to try to focus on keeping the chest open here as opposed to letting the arm really take you over. Maybe you'll want to look up toward the ceiling underneath your arm. And every inhale here lengthens all along the side body, this left rib cage. On your next inhale, let that pull you back up to center as you tip over to the opposite side. Reaching long this time with the right arm, opening the left body, all the way from the tips of the fingertips down to the hip. Almost like someone's pulling you in the opposite directions. Each inhale getting even longer. Exhales let you settle even further over toward the left. This next inhale will bring you back up to center, and we'll move into the shoulders with some easy shoulder rolls back, just like we did with the neck rolls. Starting off simple, but then widening that range of motion. And for these last couple, really pulling as far forward and as far back as we can. After this next one, we'll interlace the fingers behind the back and straighten the arms, pressing the chest forward. Feeling that opening all across the front of the body here. Keeping the chin lifted. And then on an exhale, go ahead and let it go. We'll move into a forward roll with the shoulders now, starting small. Gradually finding more range, getting bigger. Adding in that stretch along the back of the rib cage. Until this next time, we interlace the fingers in the front of the body, press the arms, and really dip the chin, pulling the belly button back toward the spine. Find that opening along the back of the body. I always love a little bit of a rock here. I feel like it helps open up back there. Beautiful. Okay, we can come off our shins and or knees now. You can remove any pillow or block that was beneath you and sit to one side. We're going to parallel the front shin, which is your left shin, to the front of the mat, and your right shin toward the right side of the mat. So the knees are sort of even. We're trying more to focus on the hips even here. And that may feel like a stretch already. So just settle in and breathe. The body will get used to it as we're here. The first thing we're going to do is start to slowly walk the upper body forward. And you're trying to think of it more as a hinge than just like letting it collapse. So you'll want to grow long from the spine, keeping the hips grounded as much as possible. You will feel the stretch start to happen in this back hip here. It is a lovely precursor to the pigeon pose that we're going to spend a decent amount of time in at the end of class today. So just think of this as waking up that region, getting it ready for a deeper stretch. Your next inhale will start your walk back, and then we're going to lean it back. Maybe you only walk out a little bit, maybe you walk out super far, but you'll want to feel the stretch here in this front hip of your right leg. The key to that is really engaging the right butt cheek and pressing that hip forward so that you feel all along the quad. If you're super open in the quads, you may want to lay this all the way back onto the mat, but please know your body and be careful. We're here for 3 breaths. Next inhale, use that to sort of walk yourself back in, really taking your time if you chose to lay it all the way back. From here, we're just going to straighten this right leg, flexing the foot to pull the toes back toward the knee, and we'll set this left foot up so that it's right, stepping into your inseam of your right leg. From here, we're planting the right hand as our own little resistance to be able to twist the body open, and taking that left arm over, just like we did in the beginning. Now we have the resistance of your arm and leg to twist even deeper to open the chest. And this is not about reaching all the way to your toes. It's barely even a hamstring stretch. It's just the teaser, a hint of one, and we'll get into that later. Next inhale brings you back up, and we'll take this leg with us to step over top of your left knee. So the legs are kind of in a pretzel here. If this is a lot, we're going to twist from here. You can straighten out this bottom leg and just twist from here. But if you are choosing to keep both legs bent, super important to sit both of those hips down to the ground. So we'll inhale wherever you are, lengthening the spine, and then exhaling to twist. Using that opposition again with this time the left arm and the right leg. Every inhale lets the spine lengthen, and an exhale will twist even more. Maybe you choose to look over your right shoulder, and definitely breathe. That's the easiest part to forget when you're constricted like this. It's also the most important part. Your next exhale will unwind you to the other side for a little bit of a counter twist. You can maybe dip the chest, just letting the spine unwind a bit before we move on. From here, your bottom leg, so your left foot, is going to step to the ground so we can take a seated figure four stretch. So this top foot, super important to keep it flexed to protect your right knee. But if you are here and you're like, oh, I don't really feel anything, move your butt closer toward your front heel. That should wake up the outer hip of the right side. Maybe you'll want to rock a little bit from side to side here, keeping the chest as tall and open as you can, letting the shoulders roll back. And we're going to start that whole sequence over on the left side, which should be pretty easy because you'll just tuck your left foot and end up with that same setup. Front leg parallel to the front of the mat, side leg parallel to the side of the mat. And again, settling in here, your hip will maybe be like, oh, okay, here we are. But once you're in, start that slow walk forward, really trying to keep the integrity of your lower body, not letting the hip lift anymore. And like, maybe if it does start to lift, this is as far as you go. Settle in, you take a few breaths, and maybe the next inhale, you find more space. Relax into it on the exhale. An inhale will walk you back up and all the way back. And this side is totally different, so maybe you don't go the same amount that you went before. Keep walking until you find the stretch, engaging the left butt cheek, and there's no need to go any further. There are plenty more quad stretches remaining. One more breath here. And then we'll walk ourselves back up to straighten out the left leg. Tucking the right foot in to the inseam of the leg, setting up that left arm and reaching long over the top of the head with the right arm. Just taking stock of how open your side body is, your chest, your hamstring, maybe getting a little hint on that front. Can you use your inhale to twist further toward the ceiling? Next inhale brings you up. And we'll step that leg over top, just like before. And again, you have the option to take this seated twist with this right leg straight. But either way, inhaling up, both hips planted to the ground as we twist toward the left. Creating that opposition for yourself with the right arm. Inhaling to lengthen the spine. Exhale to twist. Maybe glancing even further over the left arm. Remembering to breathe. And we'll unwind all the way to the right, taking that little counter twist again. As we lift up this bottom leg, step the right foot to the mat, and find once again your very comfy figure four. Keeping the top foot flexed to protect the knee. Maybe you want to play with pressing that knee forward and back, seeing how it changes the stretch. Beautiful. And from here, we're gonna gracefully or gracelessly, however you want to do it, transition to all fours. So coming to have the knees right beneath the hips, hands beneath the shoulders, spreading the fingers wide on the mat, and we'll move into a cat-cow spine. So on your inhale, the belly drops, shoulders pull back, opening the chest, chin lifts. And the exhale sends everything in the opposite direction, pressing down into the mat with your hands and knees. Keep going. Take like 5 or 6 rounds with your own breath. You can feel free to make this movement be whatever you need it to be today. Maybe you sway a little in the hips. Maybe you find a spot that feels really nice so you stay for an extra inhale, exhale. Maybe you close the eyes and just let the body move. Coming to find a neutral spine here. We're going to inhale, opening toward the right, lifting the right arm high, and then threading it underneath the body so that your temple skin can come down to the mat. We'll get a stretch all along the back of the shoulders. We'll inhale to unwind, opening again toward the right before you set the hand back down and switch to the opposite side, opening left and folding, dropping the head to the mat. Every inhale should really expand the stretch. And the next inhale pulls you back open toward the left. Exhale to place the hand down, and we'll start to walk forward to come to lay on your belly. From here, 2 options. If you know your back is not super flexible, come onto your elbows in what we call a Sphinx pose. What you're focusing on here is pulling the chest forward, almost as if you could like bust through your forearms here. You're pressing down into the mat, lifting tall, and pulling up with the core to protect your lower back. If you're here and you're like, yeah, I've got more, plant the hands right next to your rib cage, and every inhale will roll you up as far as you feel like going. Exhales will roll you back down. Pressing the tops of the feet here into the mat. And then everyone go ahead and exhale back down to the belly. From here, we'll take a quick stretch of the chest. Arms will come out to a T on the ground. And you're going to take the left leg, bend it, and reach it across the body until the whole body rolls along with it. And you can feel the opening of the chest on the right side. Maybe you drop the head to the mat. Maybe you have enough roll here to step that foot flat and use it to create resistance. Breathing into where you need it most. And your next exhale will roll you back super slowly, nice and gentle to center. We'll switch to the other side, bending the right leg this time and twisting it open. Stretch is a little different if you have your head lifted Maybe you try both and see what you need. Next exhale brings you super slowly back to center. And you can keep that right leg bent. We're going to come up onto the elbows again. And from here, your right arm reaches back to come into a quad stretch here. Quad stretch option 1 is pressing the top of your foot into your hand, which is both a chest stretch and a bit of a quad stretch. Or you can lay it down and take the traditional quad stretch here. Either way, you're engaging that right butt cheek to really feel it along the front of the hip. And without letting the leg ricochet back to the ground, we will let it go and switch to the other side. Either up onto the elbow, finding opening in the chest, or laying it down. Either way, pressing forward with the left butt cheek, opening the front hip flexor. I like to point my foot here, but you can totally flex it, see what that feels like. I encourage you to always be playing with these poses, taking what you need for your body. You can go ahead and let that go back to the mat. And we will sit ourselves back into a really brief child's pose here. It's really just to check in. We're gonna head into some more deep and potentially challenging postures, but I'm gonna give lots of options. I just want you to center here, check in with your breath. Maybe your heart rate is sped up a bit. Pressing the hands down into the mat, you can tuck your toes underneath you and lift up into a downward facing dog. So hips are high. You can maybe pedal the feet, bending right and left leg, opening up all along the back of the hamstrings. And find a little stillness here. You're going to lift the right leg and bring it up between both your arms into a low lunge. Dropping the back knee here. Walk your hands up to the thigh so that you can lift the chest, and then press down into that thigh, again using opposition to keep the body long. If that lift maybe brought you a little bit out of the left hip, go ahead and sink back down. And if you're comfy here, you can bring the arms up overhead, potentially opting to take a tricep stretch. Leaning your head back into your arms here if you took that option, keeping the chest opening. And then we can let the arms go back down to the mat, and we'll toe heel this front foot out so that the toes are at about a 45-degree angle here. And twist using opposition again with the right arm into the thigh, opening the chest. Breathing. Beautiful. From here, you have the option to just walk forward and stay long in the spine here, or drop down to your elbows. Either way, you want to focus on lifting up with the core and keeping your whole upper body in one line. There's a lot going on in the hips right now. That's where you're sending breath. And then you have one final option here. It's kind of the combination of everything. You can twist open You can reach back and grab potentially on for a quad stretch. And if this is comfy, you can take that elbow back down to the ground. Find what works for you. We're here for 30 seconds. Again, you're using the opposition in that hand and that foot to open up the hips, chest, things that hold a lot of stress and emotional weight, the heart and the hips. Trying as much as you can to take deep breaths while you're here, signaling to your body that everything is fine. We'll gently let that back foot come back to the mat. As you sit back into a hamstring stretch here, you can just sort of wiggle the hips from side to side. Give that left hip a break. And we'll plant the hands so that we can step back into downward facing dog. Check in here. Do you notice a difference between the two sides? And we'll now lift the left leg, bringing the foot between your hands, dropping that back knee. You can leave the toe tucked or untucked, however you prefer. Using, again, those hands on the left thigh this time to walk up nice and tall. Sinking again into the right hip to find that space that we lost. Pulling the lower core in, tucking the lower ribs. There's a difference between opening the chest and arching the back. So I'm going to be careful to keep that balance just a difference back here. And again, bring those arms up. Maybe taking that tricep stretch on the opposite side. My head back, the arms like a pillow. And now we'll exhale the arms back to the ground. Toe heeling that left foot out toward the mat, about a 45-degree angle. And we can again use left arm to twist open. If you feel like you don't have enough room here, take the right arm off the mat. Should open it up toward the ceiling. Breathing deep. And then again, you can either choose to walk forward and stay nice and tall, or take the elbows down for a lizard pose. Breathing into it. Once again, from here you have that option to either come back up and take this twist one more time, or reach back, bending the right leg, grabbing the top of the foot, creating that tension, that opposition to open the chest, and the quad. Again, here, if you feel like you have the space, you can walk down. Ooh, that's a lot for me today, so we're gonna undo that one. About 15 more seconds here. You can do hard. We all can. This is the best kind of hard, right? It's gonna be over in 5 seconds. And you're growing from it. Nice and gentle, let go of that back leg. Bring it back to the mat as you shift back, straightening the front leg. Maybe you want to take a little wiggle of the hips here. And while you're still upright, grab your pillow or your block. We're going to come into 2 pigeon poses to end things here. So you can shift back to down dog just to like shake things out, check in, take a breath. And then we'll start with the right leg. So lifting that leg, you'll bring the knee up toward your elbow and then swivel the shin so that it's as parallel as possible with the front of the mat. If you are feeling any tension in the knee here, you can just bring the toes, the heel back toward your left hip even more. That should help. And if there is a lot of space between the hip and the mat, that's where your pillow and or block will come in. And I really would rather you feel supported than trying to really like go for the stretch today, because I think sometimes the body creates more resistance for itself when you're trying to hold yourself up. When really, like, if there's something supporting you, you can relax, and relaxation is how you potentially open up more flexibility in that area. So now that we've been up here with this long spine and I've distracted you, go ahead and walk it forward to relax. And even while you're here, small adjustments as you're settling in are so encouraged. Maybe that left leg could inch back a bit, be a little more straight or a little more aligned with the hip. Maybe you walked all the way down and you feel like, no, we're going to come back up to elbows. Giving yourself grace on the mat is such good training for being able to do that at work or with friends or in the midst of a pandemic where things are hard. I feel like the way you do this is very likely a reflection of the way you do everything, whatever that may mean for you. And allowing yourself to let go may be something that you need today, or teaching yourself to sit with and breathe through challenge. All of those skills are very transferable. So nice and slow, we'll walk ourselves back up to a tall seat. I'm going to give you one final option here, and that is to take a little bitty quad stretch. You can walk this left hand right into the center of the mat to keep your spine long. If this is an absolute no for you, skip it. Stay tall in pigeon pose. And if you did take this option, go ahead and let it go. As we plant the hands and shift back slowly into downward facing dog. This time we'll take the left foot all the way up towards our right shin. Left knee toward the left shin. What am I saying? You see it. Oh goodness. Okay, from here, really trying to align those hips as much as possible. Like if they were headlights, they're both painting the same lines on the road. Nice and parallel. Supporting yourself with a block or pillow if needed. Finding length in the chest. So again, trying to keep those lower ribs tucked in. Shoulders relaxed down away from the ears. And go ahead and let your exhale walk you forward. Are there tiny adjustments that would allow this pose to serve you more? Nice and easy, walk yourself back up, and you can stay here, or you can take that option to bring the quad stretch back in. Chest is open, either way. Just a few breaths here. And gently let it go. Removing that block, planting the hands, and sweeping yourself back into the quickest down dog before you drop your knees and sit into a child's pose. Drop the forehead to the mat. Maybe you want to roll it from side to side with a little brain massage. If your arms are more active, maybe you'll want to drop the elbows or even bring the arms alongside the legs. Just let yourself surrender into the mat. Allow your chest to feel supported by your thighs. And let the breath flow. Shoulders are rolling forward. Chin is tucked toward your chest. And you can choose to either stay here for the last few minutes of class or come onto your backs to lay if that feels like it might be more comfortable. Eyes closed down. If you find yourself thinking, start to count your breaths. 1 with the inhale, 2 with the exhale, all the way up to 10, and then start over. It's okay if the mind wanders. You can just bring the attention back to the breath and start over at 1. from here, wherever you are, start to bring a little movement into your body, beginning with the hands, the toes. Maybe you take arms overhead and lengthen out. Feeling one more time that super long, tall spine. And you can either sit up back to your comfortable seat or roll over onto one side and then push up to a seat using the strength of your arms. Keeping your eyes closed as long as you can. And we'll all end together with 3 deep breaths, letting out all of your air. Deep breath in and sigh it out. Deep breath in. Maybe you want to flutter the lips. One more deep breath. And exhale to let it go.